everyone, thanks for watching Access Hockey MI, and we always appreciate you guys watching our videos. Make sure you like and subscribe if you haven't already. Comment below when we get to the video.
Nice things only.
So you know what you're commenting, because that makes sense. First.
Yeah, right. There's always got to be one.
Today we're going to talk about the Griffins season overview. So the Griffins have just now ended their season. They opted out of doing a playoff run, as most of the divisions did. So they ended in third place overall in their division. So they're 16, 12, 3, and 1. So they played 32 games, which is insane to think that they only played 32 games because a normal season's like 72. That's insane to me. Crazy.
That's a lot of nights home.
So today we're going to talk about their overview, kind of some things that we saw as a positive in this year, and some prospects that we're excited to see going forward. All of them.
As per usual.
All of them, but some particular ones. Yeah. So that's what we're going to talk about.
So we wanted to start on a positive note. So a few things that we've noticed from this season, and like Janae said, it was a much shorter season, so we didn't have as big a sample size as we normally do.
Right.
But 32 games is a lot of time to take a look at this and see what's going on with the team. The first and the most important one we think is the influx of prospects. This season we have seen a ton of new guys come in, some that potentially would never have come in so soon, and we'll get to that, but we've seen just a ton of younger guys and really newly drafted guys, even from the 2020 draft, being able to play at the AHL level and be given that opportunity. And it's been really exciting to watch that and to see how they adapt in such a weird season.
And the reason for that would be their ability to play with guys who are seasoned, seasoned veterans, as we like to call them. They're younger guys, of course. They're still like mid-20s, but they're vets considering they've been in the AHL for a long time, multiple seasons, and with the Griffins even for multiple seasons. So to have young guys coming in to play with older, more mature, weathered veterans, if you will.
Weathered for sure.
We always have plenty of veterans on the Griffins team. Yep. Veterans as far as they may not be considered veteran by the technical AHL standard because it's like 300 plus games played is what they consider a veteran. But guys who have been with the Griffins or have been in the system. And that's just super helpful for any young guy coming in to be able to watch them, to be able to learn from them. And that's just something that we always consider a bonus of Grand Rapids is we always have that kind of talent on hand for all these young guys and new draft picks to come and glean from.
It seems like this season, too, and I'm sure you guys have noticed, and this is something we've noticed, there has been a lot more use of the prospects. Detroit has been very intentional this last season to really make the most of the time that we've been given. So I think it's caused them to adjust the view, adjust the developmental process just a little bit, which is great because it raises that expectation and that bar for the prospects, which is going to make a more competitive team,
and
which is awesome.
Both of us have noted that we feel like the rebuild is officially starting now. We're using
it's
guys.
It's not the behind the scenes stuff anymore.
Yeah, it's not the behind the scenes trying to get pieces in order. We're finally seeing these prospects come in. They're playing in Grand Rapids. They might even get pulled up to the Red Wings, like Joe Veleno. He came back. He came back from his European championship that they were playing in. He went right to the Red Wings, and when the Red Wings were done, he came right to the Griffins. It's very clear that they want to see what these guys are doing. They want to see how they're going to adapt because they want to use them, which is very encouraging. It's very encouraging. So another positive takeaway is that they were able to play at all. I think that them being able to stay fresh, the fact that they didn't opt out of a season was great just because there's a lot to be said for being able to stay fresh, to be able to play with your team. They're probably going to play with a lot of the same guys next year. They've got that chemistry that they're working off of already. That's something that you can't just fabricate.
You can't mimic that in practice.
There's not a lot of teams that opted out. I feel like it's only one or two that opted out.
I think in our division it was 2. And even then, I mean, that's their prospects were able to be placed with other teams temporarily if they chose to, or if their signing teams approved of that, of course. But Janae is absolutely right. Just having the ability to play a season, regardless of how truncated it actually is, you get that in-game experience. You get that competitive edge.
I feel like they got the jitters out. They were able to. Granted, they started. Of course, they started late. They ended without a playoff, so it's kind of weird. But also, they played their time. Now they get to recuperate and they get to have a normal summer. And then they get to come back to a normal season. So it's going to be like a back to normal, back
reset.
to reset button. But it was great that they could be able to play and that they did play and that they learned so much through the play.
It was great for the franchises in general too, because that is a huge loss to not be able to play, and having the players be able to generate some sort of income for themselves, but also for those teams, it's a win-win.
And what an opportunity the prospects had, which we're going to get to. But another thing would be in all of this,
we like prospects. I don't know if you know that.
The adaptability and the growth that we saw through the Griffins through the season from the start to the end, and of course that just comes, like I said, getting the jitters out. The first few games are kind of like, okay, who are these teammates? These are a lot of new guys I haven't played with yet. Or we had some forwards on defense because we were low on Ds. And then all of a sudden the other leagues they were playing in were done. So then we got all these new Ds. And then, so it was just a lot of adaptability. And I think that they did a fantastic job with it.
They did. A lot of the guys, you couldn't even tell. They didn't even really miss a beat. And of course, like,
they're professionals.
Yeah, they're professionals.
Clearly.
The first few weeks, there's always that little, kind of get to know each other. It's like you're the new kid in class all over again. Mm-hmm. But once they get on the ice, it's all business. They know their jobs. They know what they have to do. And the Griffins this year have done a really good job of just maneuvering around all of the weird circumstances, just like every other team has had to. But just for our prospects in general and our team in general, they did an excellent job of making sure that they got the most out of every single game experience and practice.
A lot of teams. Chicago Wolves did an excellent job this season. The Monsters, the Cleveland Monsters were able to do great this season. Yep. I mean, I feel like all the teams in our division really use this for a good time, but it comes from top down, from ownership to coaching to players.
To make sure they're structuring it in a way that is actually giving the guys the advantage.
And as you know, we're just giddy about the coaching and about the ownership, so they have a lot to do with the success of a team, and I really appreciate all of their hard work in it too.
It does start at the top.
Not all flowers though, because not all seasons.
Not all flurries.
No season has all flowers.
No.
So some things that were less than positive. On the top is going to be special teams. It was kind of one of those seasons to where if we got a power play, it was like
we don't want it.
Well. Okay, thanks, but not a lot of the time. It did go from last to third in the division, which I thought was surprising because they didn't. If you watch the power play, if you watched it go,
didn't feel like third place.
It didn't.
Efficiency. It felt like
I feel like we're gluttons though for goals, so it's like true. Power play, get a goal.
I want 3.
They're all on the ice and they're like, we're gonna shoot when we want to shoot. Stop telling me to shoot. But it was kind of one of those
passing though. I mean, you gotta admire the passing.
Well, there were some power plays, and we're gonna talk about this a little. The next point, it kind of wraps in. So inconsistency is, I guess, the next one is that. It was kind of like, well, some nights we were really on. Other nights it'd be like 0 for 6, which is just, if you get that many chances, it is sad if you can't capitalize on it.
And I think a lot of that has to do with, and it seems like a contradiction to be like, oh, they're really adaptable this season to, oh, they were inconsistent.
Yeah.
But it's not. Adaptability.
You guys get it.
Yeah, but you're maneuvering with the changes. Consistency is keeping those maneuvers steady.
Yeah.
And that wasn't always the case. And there's, nights that we were completely blown out. Every team experiences that.
Yeah.
But that's one thing that it seems like over the last 2 or 3 seasons has kind of cursed the Griffins a little bit.
Yeah, inconsistent.
Yeah, where we could have 3 or 4 games
in a row.
We're winning one of them by a complete landslide. The other ones, you're fighting with every inch that you have.
But that also, I think, has to do with the fact that we were playing a lot of the same teams over and over and over and over.
It was like a constant playoff circuit over and over and over.
Because of how the season was scheduled. Yeah. So, believe it or not, we kind of missed some of the guys and some of the other teams that would not want to see play because we're like, oh, this team.
I'm going to hate that next season when Milwaukee shows up again.
Right?
Milwaukee. Didn't miss you.
But yeah, that's definitely something. So talk a little bit about the power play and the PK percentage-wise.
So the power play, we ended at a 21.5% efficiency. It's pretty good. So like Janae said, 3rd overall in our division. So that's not league-wide. But in our division, it was, pretty average. Looking at the other divisions, we were kind of resting right there, hanging in there, which is good. Yeah. PK, we were at 74.8%, which, in case you don't know anything about the percentages, that's dead last in our division. So again, looking at the other...
But also, another thing is that there are not a lot of games played. So these percentages are even more like,
They're almost inflated.
Yeah.
We'll just blame inflation for this one.
It's okay.
But looking league-wide, though, a lot of the teams struggled to maintain between 74 and 85%. Yeah. So somewhere in there, it was a struggle this season. I think a lot of them were experiencing the just fresh legs that they were getting from young prospects, because I think all the teams were utilizing that right now. Yep. But also the taxi squad situation. You could be losing a lot of your PK and PP guys up top to your taxi squads.
And in the other teams we were facing. So Detroit didn't really have a lot of, because our season is done now.
We finished better than last, though.
Yeah, we did. But what I was going to say is that the teams we were playing had clubs in the NHL who were actually getting to a playoff position.
Right.
And who were actually seeing a lot more of the taxi squad thing happen. And we saw a lot of new guys on the ice every night from some of these teams. Because, Chicago, they have 2 farm teams. Just this season, which is kind of crazy to me.
Yeah.
So that would be the inconsistencies that we saw and the kind of less than positives that we hope they can grow on.
And they can improve on them.
And they sure can. Yep. I mean, it all depends on...
And they will.
Getting it done and getting some rhythm going. And we have some excellent scorers on the team that just capitalize in every moment they can. So now we want to talk about prospect growth, because this has been...
Shocker, right?
This has been a season for the books for prospect growth. So we want to talk about Sebrango, Smith, and touch on Barton and Hicketts a little bit as well. So why don't we start with Sebrango?
Donovan Sebrango, he's a fun one. So he's very young. He should not have been in the AHL. This season presented him with a unique opportunity. He was supposed to be in the QMJHL, which is a major junior Canadian league.
Yeah.
So having the opportunity to come right to the pros and get his feet wet with that was an immense, I think, stepping stone for his growth, and he did not skip a beat. No. The kid, he seemed to just mesh really well in the points, and so we always say that the points don't mean everything. So he had 4 points in 31 games. That's not exactly.
But he was also +2, right. So he was a plus rating. Which is great also. So he wasn't on the ice for a lot of blunders or anything like that.
Yeah, and in the in-game experience and the in-game growth that you see, and we always say it too, you can't exactly just go off the stat sheets. You have to see them. Yeah. And he adapted really well. He didn't seem to be shy at all. He didn't really back off from his game. He met my expectations of what I was hearing about him, and he played really well with the vets and in the league. And he played like right now that he belonged there, which is good. Yeah. And we always say, he has to play above that. But for his rookie season, he adapted phenomenally.
He did, and the vets only had great things to say about him. Dylan McElrath was interviewed about him, and he said he was impressed with his maturity and his ability to pick up on small things. And that's what Sebrango went in with, because Sebrango even said himself in an interview that he was watching the vets, the Dylan McElrath, Brian Lashoff, Joe Hicketts, trying to glean those little things, and hopefully he's just going to keep doing that, and he's going to keep just progressing, because I think he makes some of the greatest defensive plays without getting penalized on a breakaway, something like that. I mean, granted, there was a breakdown in the D to get a breakaway against you, but still being able to capitalize on... I say capitalize a lot today.
It's good. We're capitalizing on this
We're capitalizing on things, but he is a very smart hockey player, and I think that that's just going to get better. He exceeded expectations, and I think that that's going to just be something that's awesome. So, along with him is one of our longtime favorites, Givani Smith, who was given quite a few chances in Detroit this year. This season, 16 games played, 4 points in those 16 games. Of course, he always comes out with a vengeance, always comes out very intense. He's not quick to drop the gloves anymore, but he's going to stick up for you, he's going to stick up for himself. Those are all things that come with maturity.
With him, his confidence has grown a lot. And
confidence in his play.
Yeah, we
not
talked
just
about
like
him before. And
where
initially it was like, oh, he's a little chippy, he might be a little too aggressive too quick. But in this progression that we've seen over the last couple seasons with him, he has really grown into his game and has really embraced the style that fits him best. Yeah. And I think he's got a good place in Detroit if he's given the opportunity, and he's got the body for it. As long I think he needs to speed up just a little bit. But this last season has been really big for him. I think kind of solidifying his place within the organization. Even with an expansion coming up, I think he could potentially have secured himself.
Have safety, because with the Griffins this year, 25 games played, 15 points. That's
he's
pretty good
bumped up
production.
His offensive efforts.
Bumped up the offensive efforts. He's in front of the net a lot more. He's on the power play. He's doing a lot of good things, and I think that he's got a great future. Can you believe it? We drafted him in 2016. That's insane to me. That's forever ago.
He's all grown up.
It's amazing. He's grown so far. So he's gone a lot. So there's also, of course, Seth Barton was a 2018 draft pick. He was kind of like, oh, Seth Barton's on the team now. He played 4 games and had 2 points. We're excited to see him. We're not going to touch too much on him just because we want to watch him more next season.
We just had a little sample size.
Yeah, we want to watch more of him next season. He needs to gain a lot of weight. That's kind of the first thing.
He is a small frame.
He's tall. He's deep. He's not wide.
Yeah, he's like Angel Pasta on skates.
So hopefully he can get some weight on him. But quick touch on Hicketts, because we love Joe Hicketts.
Joey Hicketts. This is the end of his contract, I believe.
I think he has one more season.
Does he?
Yep, one more season.
Good.
Unofficially.
I'm going to rest a lot easier tonight. For some reason, I thought this was his last season.
No, Turgeon's last season.
Yes, that is the one I'm thinking of.
Has one more.
Backspace, it's not his last season. Joey Hicketts is always a grinder.
Yeah.
That kid, ever since day one, ever since we saw him in training camp, he has pushed like a fiend.
He's amazing.
He's
a
small.
Defenseman. He's a forward. He's a goalie. He's a coach.
He single-handedly saved the Calder Cup final game.
In 2017.
In the goal. In 2017. But he's 18 points in 32 games played this season, and night after night... Defenseman, yeah.
Because he plays like 60 full minutes.
He does. He never sits down either.
He's
the bench,
on the power play.
He's
on the penalty kill.
He's on the ice all the time. He's a coach. He does everything. But the wearer of many hats, Joe Hicketts, he has just really come up this season, and he is a vet player. He plays like a very, very mature mature player, and with the loss of Brian Lashoff now, he's kind of filled in that role, which it's a tough loss for us to have.
Yes, it is.
But Joey has been kind of shadowing him for the last couple seasons and working with him, and he has gained a lot of, I think, maturity and skill. And it's really starting to show even more now where he is one of the best players on the team.
I would like to know what Yzerman wants to do with him. I'd love to see him in the NHL. I don't think his size is a factor, honestly.
If Gerby can make it, so can Joe.
Nathan Gerby, currently with the Columbus Blue
Jackets.
Jackets.
What, 5'6"?
I mean,
on skates.
I don't know. Everybody says that it's his size that's doing it. No. Maybe.
If that lower center of gravity is really good for hits, though, he can take
he's
them out for
mastered
hits.
it. Steve, if you're watching,
go for the knees.
Which you're not, but that's okay. Go for the knees. You're over here telling him what to. Anyway, so that's kind of a long overview of the Griffins season. A very short season,
but a good one.
We're excited for the next one. We're really pumped up to see these prospects continue to grow, to continue to play. This is why we do what we do. So let us know in the comments who you were most surprised at, what things you maybe think we should have taken away from the season, and what we should do this next season.
What prospect you're excited to see next season?
Who do you want to draft? Because we're getting to the draft.
Woo!
So keep watching the videos. We're going to start talking about some draft picks. We're going to start dissecting some of these guys a little further. Sorry, some of the guys who played this season.
Your favorite summer content.
We love it, and you do too. So thanks so much again for watching. Like, subscribe, comment, and we appreciate you guys so much. We'll see you next time.